It is said that standing in line reflects civilization. So what do you think?
It depends on the culture.
Yeah.
For example, in this country, where you're supposed to stand in line, it shows that you're rude or inconsiderate if you cut or butt in line.
Yeah.
But in other countries, like when I was in China, for example, if you go to a shopping center, they don't have lines. It's kind of like a free fall. There's a counter and then many different clerks,
Yeah.
and you just have to get your way in front, because if you're not pushing in front, it looks like you're not ready.
Yeah.
So first time I was actually waiting in line when I was at a bookstore in China.
Yeah.
I was waiting in line, and then people just kept.
Yeah.
And I knew enough about the culture that I wasn't offended by that, but most Americans in that situation would have been offended. But when I realized what it was actually kind of fun, because I started like trying to get close to the front. But if that would happen here in the U.S., that's extremely rude. So if somebody from China, for example, comes here and just does what they're used to in China and cuts in line, pushes to the front, most Americans would probably think that that person is rude and might think that they're uncivilized. But it's all about the culture. So same thing, like if I was standing in line waiting, people might think I'm stupid in China, right? Like, why are you waiting? Like, go to the front.
Yeah.
So it depends on the culture. But if it's an American in an American store, they should know better. And if they're cutting in line, that shows that they probably are either rejecting that norm or they're not educated enough to know, which I don't think is ever the case. I think because everybody knows it's cultural that you stand in line. So if you cut, then it just means you're impatient and you think you're better than other people, or you're maybe didn't see the line. But usually that doesn't reflect well.
Yeah. So personally, how would you react in such situations?
I wouldn't necessarily jump to conclusions. Maybe they didn't see the line, so I would kind of point out, hello, the line is back there. And most people, if that happens, they'll either feel embarrassed if they really were cutting and then they'll move back, or they'll actually have made a mistake. So then you save their face, right? If you allow them to have a way out without being embarrassed, it's better. So you assume that they didn't know. But if they did know and they don't really care, then usually there's enough peer pressure. Like everybody would be like, "What? Get back in there!" And then usually clerks won't help you if you've cut. So it depends on where you've cut. Like if you cut close enough to the clerk won't let you.
Once I took my daughter around and I stopped by a gas station, and then everybody was waiting, and then the clerks intended to serve me first. Actually, I came later. So then I showed to the guy standing next to me, and then I said, like, you first. And then after he got the gas, and he turned to me and said, "You're the first person in Vietnam who does this." And then I just wanted to educate my child. So that's it.
Yeah, I think humility is always good. So even if it's not your culture, like that's fine if you're humble. Like cutting in the line in the U.S. shows arrogance, right? Cutting in line in many Asian countries, it's not necessarily that you're arrogant, it's just what you're used to. But if you're waiting and letting somebody go first, that's always humble. And humility is always a good thing.
That's cool. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. A lot of information, I think.